Okay, guys. I've been thinking about it, and I want to rank the mediums. Okay? I want to rank the mediums with you together. Audio medium, number 1. Boom. No joke there. Audio medium,
Classic.
number 1.
Yeah. Music, perhaps other things.
The visual medium, that can be number 2. That's fine.
Pretty good.
In between well done and rare for steaks, that's pretty good. I like that medium. That's a good medium. Yeah. Clairvoyant mediums, it's fake. It's toward the bottom. That's some shit mediums. I was kind of curious if there's any other kind of mediums that you all like or don't like.
I'm trying to think back to like art school days and the mediums that you use, like which kind of canvas.
I'm a big fan of medium talls.
That is a good medium.
As a tall boy, I really like medium tall.
That is a good one.
Early Incubus song Medium, about things that are medium. That's solid. I'm going to bump that above a medium. One? That's
so. Would
high.
you say most mediums are above medium?
Not most. I don't know. I don't know too much about medium.com. So.
Medium.com bottom. It sucks.
That shit's .bottom. All right, that was it. I just wanted to talk about that. I was thinking about it on the way home today.
No, that's a good.
And then Alex said something about it, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Welcome to the Every FNFF podcast.
Bless the crystals, boys. Bless the crystals, Alex.
You can bless it out your ass, Curtis.
Bless the crystals. Guys.
This is the first episode where I didn't do the homework because I just fucking quit. Like, no, I'm not doing this.
So we should talk about what we're doing this episode, speaking of which. So this is our wrap-up episode. We finished FF1. We did it.
We did it. Bless the crystals.
Golf clap. We'll allow the audience to do little golf claps real quick.
That just sounds like I'm jacking off into the microphone.
While that golf clap is happening, there should also be a slight little bit of Mecha Robot Golf playing golf exciting, just slowly. Maybe relaxation though, because it's more of a I don't know. Well, I'm excited about being done this fucking game.
Yeah, but so we did one for FF7, but this time there's also bonus dungeons in some versions of the game, right?
Yes.
Which there were not in the NES version, obviously, but there at least are in the GBA version. So what I did was I actually just watched a YouTube playthrough of them because I didn't have the version, and I was like, man, I was looking at the sizes of the dungeons, and I was like, I really wasn't planning on doing them anyway. I just kind of wanted to talk about them. So I didn't go through all of them, which I don't think that we needed to anyway, because I think there's enough that we can talk about and add it together with our wrap up. And so that's kind of what we're going to be doing today.
Yeah, and I tried.
I also tried. I'll let you take it away first, Alex.
Well, so I've bumped into these the entrances to these dungeons a few times. So the way it works is that there's an area in the map that there's a cave usually with a statue of the fiend that every time we beat that corresponding fiend, that dungeon opens up. The first one being the Lich. So you go to basically there's a cave right near the Chaos Temple that leads to that first one, the one that corresponds to the Lich.
It's like right between like when you're on your way from Cornelia to the Chaos Shrine. There's like just a mountain there that the cave opens up on. Right.
And then there's another one in the Cardia Islands near the dragons, which I stumbled onto.
The Hellfire Chasm.
The Life Spring Grotto, which I also stumbled upon when we were... I forget how I stumbled upon it, but it's on the river during when we were... Recently when we got our canoe.
Yeah.
And then there's another one... Actually, no, wait, that was a different one. Sorry. Next to the canal opened up is Life Spring Grotto. The Whisperwind Grove is the one that's on the river up there.
Okay.
But,
yeah, so like you're saying, there's one corresponding to each fiend, and they kind of are like themed inside of them, like the actual like dungeon. Themed.
Fiend themed.
Yes.
They're themed.
But there's an interesting...
fiends.
Fiend themed.
But yeah, they have an interesting quirk though, as because they are basically designed as like a challenge mode, but they have a set number of floors, but they have a random selection of floors that you can get every time you go down the stairs. Which is so every time you go through this dungeon, it's going to be different.
Yeah. It's just it really cool. I feel like there's a lot of really cool ideas in these dungeons, but the execution is kind of just sloppy and not really all that exciting, especially because a lot of it doesn't really improve your like playthrough initially, like if you're just going through the critical path that we've already talked about, doing these doesn't really help.
I feel like this is, I mean, they're not because you can get to them earlier, but they feel like post-game content.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they feel like you should do it after you do the main quest.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting some better equipment, but I don't really need to use this better equipment now, other than for maybe these super bosses that are in here. But so I was thinking about it as I was going through and trying to like tackle these. And it's basically just like, I don't know how familiar either of you guys are with Bloodborne, the From Software PS4 exclusive game.
I'm not yet, but I have a PS4 now, so I will be.
If you want to borrow my copy of it too, by the way. But there's this really interesting system in that called Chalice Dungeons, which like has some kind of tie into like the main overall story, but is also completely separate. I think you only have to go into like one or two of them to progress the story. I could be wrong about that as well, but it's this weird procedurally generated thing where you go into this Chalice Dungeon and you're in like a labyrinth that's kind of like Diablo style, where you're just kind of going through, killing swarms of enemies, fighting harder bosses, and collecting loot and stuff. And it's like a cool system, and it's kind of split through the community whether people think it's an awesome system or people think it fucking sucks, because it's like just more Bloodborne for the sake of playing more Bloodborne, but not
as a rule
substance.
I don't really enjoy those things, but
so
I haven't
it's
done it yet, so
so
we'll get,
that's
you know
kind
what,
of
we'll get there when we get to Final Fantasy X2 and we have to do the fucking post-game dungeon there. That'll be great. How did they just threw a last boss together and they were like, what if we just max out the stats and don't actually like invent anything? We'll just make all the numbers 9s and just see what happens.
So kind of like what Alex did to every one of his characters in his save file.
I ruined it.
So as I was watching the YouTube playthroughs, all the YouTube playthroughs of these dungeons had all the characters in their party with solid 9s and all of their stats. And I was like, all right, another good reason why I don't want to try to play this entire thing in 2 days, because like, if that's what you actually need to be at to be able to do these dungeons, and it's still going to be an issue, like, man, F that sounds like it sucks.
Yeah, it's like
this
all
is
the fun.
One of the opposite of a baby's challenges.
Yeah, it's an adult's challenge.
Yeah, but either way, there is some cool stuff to them, though, and I don't want to like dissuade anybody from doing them. Like, if I was playing the GBA version, I might have run into them and done all these things earlier. Because there actually is something really neat going on, and that is that the dungeons, even though they are all themed about the around the fiend that they represent or the element they represent, they're also later Final Fantasy game themed as well, which is really cool.
Super cool. Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. So like this is something that is clearly put in this game as like a challenge mode for fans of the game and of the series. So it's like a thing where at the time when this came out, like, I mean, I've kind of said that a lot throughout the course of this season of like, at the time when this came out on the NES, there wasn't really too much else to, mess around with in terms of RPGs. So it was a lot more like a lot of the tedious stuff that we have like hindsight on. And we're like, oh, well, why is it this way? Like, at the time of the Game Boy coming out, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy and you're like playing through the first one and you beat it, or you had beaten it before and you're going through and you're like, oh wait, there's this extra challenge, and it's not just like, oh, go into these 5 floors and take out the boss and stuff. It's like a substantial challenge, and you're like, okay, well, I spent $40 on this cartridge. I beat the one game. I don't want to jump into 2 just yet. Yeah, and I want to kind of go through. Like, it's a cool thing to just be like, oh, I want to challenge myself and I have time to do it. But like. Yeah.
You got a month off this, so you got
at the beginning of next season. Yeah, you got to tell us how it is.
Yeah, I am not going to go through this at all.
So the dungeons, right? The first one that we're talking about is the Earth Gift Shrine. It's cool. It's based off of Final Fantasy 3.
Hell yeah!
So when you fight the bosses of it, the bosses are from Final Fantasy 3. And the battle music for the bosses is the boss music from Final Fantasy 3.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Very cool. Now, when you said bosses,
yes,
you mean there's more than one boss at the end of these dungeons?
So,
kind of.
Some of them do have more than one boss at the end of the dungeon, genuinely. Yeah. But this one has 2 bosses, and you might fight one of the 2. I'm sorry. No, this has 4 bosses. My mistake.
Yes.
Yeah, my mistake.
So, do you want me to kind of walk you through my experience of the first one?
Yeah, please.
So when I first approached it, I went to the Earth Gift Shrine. There's usually after each fiend, there was like a cutscene. You see like one NPC kind of guarding this door. I mentioned, I think earlier, that one of the elven ones, but this one there's a dwarf, and
his dialogue's really weird.
The stink went away. Say, I took a kick inside. It was lipping over with gruesome monsters. I'd stay out if I were you. And so, which is like, he took a peek in the dungeon's like, yeah, no, I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
Mood.
So
But
with that,
you go into the first room, but then immediately teleport to a floor. One of the floors that's available to me. To me, it was just like some standard dirt floor, and I think where you spawn on these floors, it can vary depending on. I think that's part of the randomness of this, is where you show up on the floor, and where you can exit is random. But yeah, there's a lot. The first thing I know is like, oh, there's black goblins here instead of like normal goblins, and stuff like wild nach, which these might be things from Final Fantasy 3. I might not
Is a wild nach a wolf?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
FF3 thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so and then the second floor was actually not even a dungeon. It was like, oh, now I'm in a desert.
Yeah, you're just out in an open desert.
the desert's cool.
There's
And
like,
it's like,
I imagine a desert would be the opposite of cool, Carl.
well, agree to disagree.
I'll go ahead and hang up from the call now.
and on the desert floor, you're basically wandering, and then there's these arrangements of trees that kind of point you in which direction you have to go. So they're kind of pointing you around. But for me, if you just go straight north, you'll find the stairs immediately.
Trees just
Or-
kind of jerking you around.
You can do what I did and look at a map and say, oh, okay, so this structure that has a chest and 6 trees around it, directly south of that is where the staircase is.
I didn't find any maps with this thing. And then
That's another thing that I do want to talk about when you're done, Alex.
yeah. So then the third floor is like another just small corridor. There's treasure chests. I didn't really pay attention to what were in them, but mostly because my pockets are full.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one was really creepy. It was like an eerie purple forest with these like skeleton zombie guards. There are random encounters in here as well, but they are blocking areas of this forest for you to get through.
Yeah, and you have to talk to them.
They're called Skulgers.
Skulgers. I got skull, but I'm not a skulger.
The best part of waking up is Skulgers in your cup.
And then the fifth floor is the boss floor. So when you reach the floor, or a floor, I guess, in any of these dungeons that has a boss room, the boss room has a red door. And in this one, all 4 bosses are in the same room. And for me, they have the same thing where you approach like basically a flame guarding the teleporter like it would be in a normal fiend room. And they say a little thing, like the first one I talked to said, so you've managed to reach these depths. I commend you, but your journey ends here, I'm afraid. And then it turns into Cerberus. It's the 3-headed dog from FF3.
Now, is that the only boss that you had to fight?
Technically, yes.
So the thing is, I found out actually today is that once you go through the door, you can't go back out, which means if you want to encounter all 4 bosses, you have to do the dungeon 4 times.
Woof.
So I because I had an emulator, I made a save state right in front of the door. It was like, oh, cool, Cerberus. And then I went to the next one. It was the echidna, which is not
the
actually...
enchilada?
The Knuckles the enchilada.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like an echidna.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, it's a spiky, weird, like, viney-looking dude hanging from the ceiling. I don't like him.
And this
I don't like him at all.
This boss fight is actually pretty tricky because I'm also when I was going through, I was using Alex's save file, so I too was rolling in with Archie, Jughead, Betty, and Hot Dog, and pretty much for most of the turns that it used Earthquake, which could hit your entire party, but it will deal just instant kill on one of your party members. So I actually had Jughead went down, and then later Archie went down. But I mean, Alex also has unlimited items, so I was pretty much just like Phoenix down, Mega Elixir, not really a huge deal. But like, if I was fighting this in my version of the game, I'd be like, this fucking sucks.
This is only the first dungeon.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 bosses is the Aramen, which is the one-eyed.
It's
one-horned flying purple
Suezo from
people.
Monster Rancher.
The one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater thing.
Yellow people eater. Well, wait.
Yeah, it's yellow, yeah. And then the fourth
Because
one...
he eats purple people. I remember the song now.
Oh, is that how that worked? Shit.
That is how that worked in the
I've
end.
been
I'm sorry,
living
continue.
a lie.
He was yellow. He has purple teeth and eyes. The way the art looks like in this looks like they just imported it from another version and kind of like converted it so it fits to a Game Boy Advance palette. And then the last one in this dungeon is a 2-headed dragon, which and that's it for this dungeon. But Then I went to the next one, which it was the Hellfire Chasm, and I immediately noped out of there as soon as I realized, like, well, first
I love
off,
a good chasm, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, we're all fans of chasms here, especially that old Newgrounds game with like a purple platypus that you played. It's like a Flash animation game called Chasm. Shout out to anyone who gets that reference, because I might be the only one.
Yeah, sorry, Alex. I didn't mean to interrupt you with my shitty fucking joke.
It's okay. But I just wanted to say that I started the second dungeon, and then like as soon as I got to the 5th floor, I realized there are 2 bosses on this floor, and then the other 2 are 5 more floors down. I have to go. So like either way, I have to basically do this. Like, do you want to do it twice, like normally, 5 floors, and then the other 10 floors down?
Yeah.
And it would just be, I did not want to have anything to do with that.
Well, I'll point out real quick. It's basically like the volcano, fire floors. A cave,
some
lava.
Fire shrines as well that were cool.
Yeah,
this one had an elf, I think, or guarding the door, who said the heat surrounds the door is gone, but now that our prince has become king, and no one's likely to enter anytime soon.
We did talk about this on the podcast, only because last night when I was like, I need to go to bed, I'm just going to put on a podcast, and I know that I'm not going to listen to our own. It'll just be background noise. And as I was falling asleep, I heard us go like, why would nobody come in here if there was the king or not? Why does that matter? And I was like, we'll talk about that when we record. Anyway,
but some of the interesting quirks I encountered on this. The first floor was a room full of patrols, which were just guys walking back and forth, and if you talk to them, they just say, "Hold it, shoes off right now," or not that they'd be allowed to go any further anyway, or "No trespassing, don't take another step," and they don't do anything to stop you.
They say, "Hold off, send feet pics."
But it's like this weird crystalline mine floor, but I was like, oh, there's no encounters here. Then all of a sudden, as I'm progressing, there are areas where every step has an encounter on it.
Oh my god.
So there's like a giant block of like 5x5 squares, and every step you take is like another encounter, and then you have to kind of get around them.
Jeez and crow.
It was just a fucking pain in the ass. And then there's more lava ones, and then there's like one that looks like the 3rd floor for me, and this one looked a lot like the Sunken Shrine, except it was all lava themed instead.
Yeah. I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah.
So it's really cool about this, and we're gonna get.
And the 5th one, the 5th floor was just like a miniature version of the overworld map, which involved you having to find you have to find a boat and then find the guy who basically looks like BK.
That's awesome.
And then you have to go basically find the stairs just by find the airship, find this, and there's even like a desert that you have to get the airship out of.
That's a super cool premise for like a dungeon in an RPG, where it's like, okay, well, you left your airship, you went into this dungeon, and then you traveled like 5 floors down or whatever, and then you're just essentially on another world map within this dungeon, and you need to then get all of the like ways of progressing through the world map inside this thing. Like, that's super cool, but like the fact that it's like sandwiched into this like incredibly tedious and like just horrible fucking dungeon is like, damn, I wish they used that elsewhere.
Yeah, it was a cool experiment. I mean, it reminds me of some of the things like Breath of the Wild, where there's like an island where you basically, as soon as you step on it, strips you of all your weapons, and like, all right, now you have to like get off this island, complete this quest without any weapons, or basically build them yourself from scratch.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Which is kind of a cool premise. It just like, throws everything out, and then you have to kind of do a very basically shrunk down version of like everything you've done on the real world map.
Yeah, it's like that if in Breath of the Wild you went through all of Hyrule Castle and fought Lynels and fought like all kinds of horrible endgame enemies, and then you get to like halfway on your way to the final battle, and then it throws you into like Eventide Island or whatever it's called, where you start completely naked and have to like fight your way from scratch.
So the bosses of this area are all from Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah.
And I will say, this is going to come up when we do Final Fantasy IV. It's just something I'm going to pull out right now. I think because of character limitations, that's probably the reason. But the Americanized versions of the boss names in Final Fantasy IV in the actual SNES game are completely different than these. Like, they are not named the same things at all. Which is terrible, because on the SNES version of 4, there's a boss called Mylon, and then they become Mylon Z, which is the saddest name when you consider that their real name is Scarmiglione. Holy shit, that's great. A Scarmiglione, which are from Dante's Inferno, I believe, all 4 of the bosses. So they're Barbaricia, Rubicante, Scarmiglione, and Cagnazzo. And I believe they're from the Divine Comedy.
Alex,
I'm going to Google that right now.
Whenever Curtis says any of these names, can you just edit in a little mandolin like riff going on in the background, like Scarmiglione, Cagnazzo,
What is that? Are they Barbarizia? I don't know.
I
Rubicante.
Rubicante.
Yes, they are from Dante's Inferno. Okay.
That's awesome. That's super cool. That's a really cool reference.
I didn't know Square Enix made Dante's Inferno.
I didn't know that the boss of Dante's Inferno was Mylon Z.
Well, this makes sense because this is a kind of a hell-themed dungeon.
Yeah. But yeah, so
10 floors, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
The 9.
There's 9, but you can say
and there's
the
9
last
floors.
one is,
There's 9 floors here.
There's 9 floors and then a boss floor.
Okay.
Oh yeah, true.
One of them wasn't even a real dungeon floor.
No, there is just 9 floors.
Oh, you're correct.
That's great. It's Dante's Inferno. Take back everything we just said about these fucking dungeons. They're perfect. Good
now
job.
I'm going to go through and play it on the break that we have coming up.
Yeah, on the break, yeah.
I'll have to watch it 2 times speed on YouTube.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Next one.
Let's go.
This
Life
is
Spring Grotto.
Life Spring gotta go.
Life
I did
Spring-
not do this one because I fucking gave up halfway through the last one.
You made it 5 floors further than I made it.
Right.
Well, I watched it on YouTube, so let me tell you what I ascertained by quickly clicking through it.
A nice glean.
What I've gleaned. So in this one, it's an ice cave. There's also water, and there are various puzzle floors, I guess, like there are in the other ones as well. Some of them involve a bunch of Okay, I took a screenshot and I sent this to the chat. Some of them involve a bunch of running beavers. And there will be a man at the top of the screen who says, "Can you send my beavers to their rooms?" And you talk to them and tell them right or left, and you send them to rooms. And then when you talk to the man again, he says, "You're quite good at handling beavers."
My God.
And I was like, I was like, should I tweet this? Should I? I don't know if this is the kind of image I want the Twitter and the Instagram to put out, but it's in the game. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
Are there other beavers in FF5, which is what this one's based on?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
What do you know about FF5, Curtis?
Not much. I never played it. But
you should just play this level on the relay instead.
Yeah. I will say this. There's one big difference.
This one would probably take a lot longer than your speedrun of FF5.
Yeah, probably so. It has 20 floors. And I will say, you'll, again, like the other one, there's 2 sets of boss floors where you fight one of 2 bosses each time. So the first time you either fight Gilgamesh or Atamos,
nice.
And the last time you fight Shinryu or Omega. Which I believe is the first game that Omega Weapon appears in.
Interesting.
Is 5.
What?
Yeah.
Omega. So wait, Omega Weapon is tied into FF5?
That's the first one. Then there's also FF8. And then there's the weapons in 7. Because I believe Final Fantasy 14 as well.
Oh, FF Omega shows up in Dirge of Cerberus. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. But I will say, there's one big difference. Because I told you, the boss music plays when you fight the bosses. The boss music for FF5 does not play when you fight the bosses in this dungeon. Clash on the Big Bridge plays in this dungeon.
Oh, fuck yeah, that kicks ass.
Which is kind of a good choice. I love the boss music in FF5, don't get me wrong. I think that boss music is incredible. But Clash on the Big Bridge is maybe the best Final Fantasy tune in the series.
It's so good.
It is banger central.
It doesn't play the Clash on Big Bridge. Instead, it plays the man with the machine gun from Final Fantasy VIII.
What a good fucking song. Anyway,
Sounds so goddamn
that's
good.
neither here nor there. But yeah, so that's really what's going on.
That's neither 5 nor 1.
So, like I said, not really too much I wanted to say about it or anything like that. It's just, that's what it is. It's FF5
There are 20
themes.
floors.
Those are the bosses. 20 floors. That can go absolutely fuck itself. And let's talk about the last one. The Whisperwind Cove.
Ooh. Yes.
The Smugglers of Whisperwind Cove. It's about pirates.
Oh, you know what, real quick, before we get on... nice. Before we get on to this one, I will say that there's a floor where you are in your canoe in the last one instead of walking around. So it kind of continues that theme.
I also like how you said that there's like ice and water in this level, and I'm like, yes, every gamer's two favorite kind of things to have to deal with in video games: ice and water. Those are always the best mechanics.
Didn't I say at some point, I think like in the FF7 season, where I was like, hard water, and I think one of you guys was like, I think you mean ice. And I'm like,
I think that
yeah, it does exist.
Hard water is
what
just...
if water was solid? And you're like, there is such a thing, it's called ice. And I was like, oh shit.
I love how this episode is just like a 90s sitcom like rehash episode. Like, do you guys remember when we went to Shelbyville to try and get the lemon tree back?
It's the second episode of Clerks.
Yeah. Which we also mentioned, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my god. The prophecy.
We're only so interesting. We've hit like the limit.
Yeah, this is
like the interesting things we have to say.
We're only 2 games in out of 1,000 Final Fantasy games that we have to cover, and we're already recycling jokes and gags.
Yeah,
Shit.
I know. This is the shortest one. All of the other ones are Oh my god. All right.
This is the
story of a girl. God damn it. Yeah.
So you can come here after you've beaten Tiamat.
Yes.
I'm reading right here that, Lufinian keeps watch over the entrance area. Warning, once you enter the nearby door, you will unable to return. White magic spell exit and black magic spell teleport will not function in this dungeon.
Fuck that.
You can't get out.
Fuck you.
Oh, wait.
Fuck you.
I think I'm wrong about what I just said. I'm reading the fandom right now, and apparently the canoe and beaver minigame are in this one. So I don't know what the fuck was in that last one. Fuck the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe you went.
This has all the beavers I need.
So there are other beavers in 6, I should say.
No.
Hold on. F6 beaver.
Safe search on.
Oh man, yeah. Please safe search on.
I don't even like saying it.
That's a Bidoof. Never mind.
Bidoof. Yeah, we'll just call him Bidoof.
The first thing I heard about this dungeon is that it has 40 floors, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
Grandpa Simpson.
There's like tiny plot things that happen in here, like miniature plots, where like you'll go to a floor and you'll meet a robot who's like, oh, my best friend is deactivated. Go find parts for him. And you have to run around and find parts and then reactivate his friend. And then they allow you to go to the next floor and stuff. It's really weird.
Well, there are the big thing I guess to mention is that there are bosses, but this is a boss every 10 floors.
Yep. So you actually do fight all 4 bosses in this one.
This walkthrough I have doesn't even have any. I think they also said fuck.
Dude, that's
shit.
my favorite thing about like doing research for this episode. When I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do it. I think my favorite moment happened was I was going through. I was like, okay, I need to start playing this. Where do I start? And I was like, I'm going to start at the same spot I've started for most of these dungeons. I'm going to go to my old standby retro walkthroughs. And I didn't bring this up I might have brought it up on like the past 2 episodes or so, but weirdly a couple of like the later game dungeons didn't have like the nice interface that we were talking about. Like it didn't say what was in what chests and what. And I was like, I'd like to think in my mind that whatever champion made this website was just kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. That's a good idea, but I don't feel like putting that much effort into it. And then
I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah, and then like I actually got validation that that's probably exactly what happened because I was looking through the Soul of Chaos one, which is like what these are all like referred to as, and I just like scrolled down and I just see this. I'm gonna read this verbatim from the website. Due to the tedium of these dungeons, I have not taken the time to map them, with only a few exceptions. The maps are small and very straightforward. Also, Whisperwind Cove has 39 floors, and I have no desire to map all of them. If you would like a very in-depth and complete guide to the Souls of Chaos, please visit GameFAQs. And it has a link to a GameFAQs, and I'm just like, God bless you. I was like, you are you're a much better person than I am for doing all of this, whoever you are. I am not even gonna like spit into the face of fate.
We should have reached out to them to see if they wanted a guest on this episode.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, I am nowhere near the gamer that this person who made this guide is. So I was like, I don't need to prove anything. I am no better than this person. So I am bowing.
You hear
out
that,
here.
listener? I don't have to prove anything to you.
The only thing I have to prove to is the writer of the retro walkthroughs.
I'm sorry. Please continue to listen to our podcast, please. So
yeah, so anything else that happened on this in your encounter?
I didn't do it, but when I was watching the YouTube anyway, 4 bosses.
4 bosses.
Every 10 floors. The second one I have an issue with, but we'll get there when we get there. So the first one's Typhon, which was a summon in FF7, remember? Found in the ancient forest. And we were like, Typhoon, Typhon, Typhoff. I don't know how it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, he's a big old green, a big purple meanie.
Yeah. So that's the first boss. The second one, Orthros, which I have an issue with the name. If you played FF6, that is Ultros. And there's also enemies called Orthros in the games that are not Ultros. So it's Ultros from FF6, which probably in Japanese is Orthros, Orthros. It's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Is he the big mouthy boy?
He's the octopus.
Okay. Yeah, the one with the teeth.
Don't tease the octopus, kids. When you play FF6, you'll think that's funny.
I see that.
The next one is the Phantom Train, but there's no suplex move in this game.
Bullshit.
So,
fuck it.
useless. Fucking useless. But I love the fact that that's one of the characters they picked as a boss, was the Phantom Train. Choice. That's a great choice. Like, I wouldn't have thought of it to be like, what great evil will be there in this dungeon? How about a train? Like, perfect.
On the how many floors down? How they get a train down there?
How to get a train down there? That's incredible. That's great.
It's a feat of engineering. There's no trains in this game.
Yeah, and the last one is Death Gaze, which is an optional boss from FF6. So that's pretty cool. And boss battle plays, music plays, which is a fantastic boss theme.
Hell yeah.
I guess they're all really good boss themes, but
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yo, so I was listening to the FF3 boss theme, the original one, and just a thing I noticed, it's the first boss theme, or I think battle theme, on any of the NES games that have percussion.
Whoa.
And I was like, holy shit, those are kicks. Like, that's them snares.
I think I actually noticed that when I was listening to that on Spotify today.
Yeah.
Like these are this is pappy. This has got some punch to it.
Yeah, right? They sound pretty good.
This is for the NES though, right?
Yeah. So yeah, anything else to say about these dungeons?
Get them out of here.
Get them out of here. All right, you want to talk about one more dungeon?
Do I ever?
Oh.
Wait, there's another dungeon?
Sort of. There is for the iOS port.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm not really going to get into it. None of us really played the iOS port, but I did watch a playthrough of it today. It has an additional dungeon to it, which is
Labyrinth of Time.
The Labyrinth of Time.
Oh, okay.
And so it's in Chaos Shrine, right? So you go back to Cornelia once you're done with all the fiends, and there will be like a cloaked figure standing there who will mention the Chaos Shrine and then walk off. So if you follow them, they open up a door in the very back or the very top of the map of the Chaos Shrine, like before you go back in time. And you go back there and they say like, okay, well, this place is to test the skill of people like you. I'll see you at the top, essentially. And as you go, basically the way the game phrases it is that you have to pay for time. That like the game will be like, okay, we'll give you time in the time tower, but you have to pay for it. And the way you pay for it is with your skills. So like the first floor will be like, okay, name a command that you just don't want to be able to use anymore. And you'll be like, black magic. And it just removes black magic and you get to keep going. And
that's very cool.
It's pretty neat. It's neat how it works.
There's a similar thing that happens in Final Fantasy VIII, which we'll get to. 20 years when we get to Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah,
that's a really cool concept, though.
Yeah, it's very cool. So you said that it's for the iOS version, and you have to pay for time, and I was like, these goddamn microtransactions.
No. Well, I guess it kind of is. It's like it's like in-universe micropayments.
Yeah.
But
it's very cool.
They're all like puzzle based, essentially. Like the floors are like puzzles, and there are battles that are incorporated with that, but each one has like a puzzle and an amount of time that you've bought with your skill. And if you complete it in time, you take a blue gate, and if you don't complete it in time, you take a red gate. So the red gate is like a failure gate. But what's nuts is the more you fail, the easier the boss is at the end. Because I guess it's like, okay, well, you didn't do a very good job. Let's tone it down a little bit for you. And the more you succeed. So you could just like fail all of them and like have an easier time at the end. But at the very end, you fight a boss called Chronodia, which is very cool because depending on how many floors you got right, the sprite is different, which I think is really cool.
Oh, whoa. That's super cool.
Yeah, so by itself... It's
I'm looking at the sprites now on the fandom, and it's very cool.
So by itself, it's like this, I guess like a witch holding on to like an orb. She's kind of like laying on this orb and has like a bit of like a dragon's tail, I guess. And the better you do, fiends start appearing around it, the 4 fiends. And if you get the most difficult one, the face of chaos is like protruding from her back. It's really nasty. But those are the different, like, it basically shows you what difficulty you're on, depending on how many fiends are incorporated into that ball. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat little dungeon.
That's super cool. That's a super cool boss.
Oh, I will say good music, too. Like, I went and listened to the music on it, and I was like, that's a really good tune that they just added in there for that. Like,
hell yeah.
They really brought it out of the woodwork there. So, so that's all the bonus stuff. Now we're truly, honestly done with Final Fantasy 1.
Hell yeah. I do want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Ninnies, who is a Final Fantasy streamer. He was telling me a story in a stream the other day about the bonus dungeons, and I believe he was doing his like playthrough of Final Fantasy 1 on his stream. And before he got to the Chaos Shrine, he actually went to one of these bonus dungeons. I think it was like whichever one has like the puzzles on it. So there were certain puzzles that he had to do, and like he would get so far into it and doing these puzzles, and then he would have to like leave and do another run of it, but it would always restart after he went out. And he would have to, and he was like, "Oh my god, the difficulty spike in this last dungeon is insane." And and then someone reached out to him and was like, "Hey, you know that you're in a bonus dungeon, right? You're not in like the last dungeon." And he was like, "Oh, fuck this place then," and just like,
I will say they're not well labeled.
No, like you kind of need to know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, how about that? Final Fantasy 1, everybody.
There it is.
Hell yeah.
We did it, non-sarcastically this time. We really did.
Yeah, we actually did it, if you don't count the bonus dungeons.
Yeah.
I did everything available to me in my game.
Same. So, tell you what, let's take a break.
Last break of the season.
Our last trip to the Temple of Chaos. And we'll come back and have ourselves a little wrap-up.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
All right.
So guess what, guys? I'm closing the fucking fandom tabs on my computer.
Oh hell yeah, that's gotta feel real good.
Let me close the FF1 walkthrough site, the game corner.
There's a little bit of bittersweetness to closing down this retro walkthroughs tab, but I mean, when we closed down the tabs on Final Fantasy VII, I was feeling a little somber about that.
I know. Yeah.
Feeling a little bit like pure shit, just want him back, but
play Green Day's Good Riddance.
Yeah, right.
Oh wait, I just had a good tab that I wanted to bring up. Some old. So this is a forum that I've found a couple of times just in my research for the show, called Eyes on FF, which is a good reference to the Final Fantasy VIII song, I imagine, or maybe Tupac. But I really like that. I just found this thing on the extra dungeons. And someone's like, "Oh, I got the Game Boy Advanced Dawn of Souls versions. like asking about the bonus dungeons, and someone who, oh my god, I'm actually looking at this. I didn't notice this at first. I think Aiko is the name of the character from Final Fantasy IX. That is the character avatar that this person has, and they're banned from this forum. So they are banned from Eyes on FF. But this post still comes up, and it says they say Sephiroth's a hidden boss in Dawn of Souls dungeon. Anyone know? And then the original poster said, all the more reason to stay the hell out. But I love it too because they made an acronym of Dawn of Souls, so it's just all caps DOS. And I was like, was there a Final Fantasy
for DOS
version? Shit. And Sephiroth is on it somehow? What the fuck?
That's amazing.
But now I'm closing that tab.
Yes. End of an era.
It is immortalized in the audio medium of a podcast that is 50 episodes in.
Who can say?
Who can say?
Who can say where the pod goes? Anya?
That's a good...
We can talk about that.
A good segue. Yeah, Enya.
Enya? Is
my
it
girlfriend
Enya?
was just... I think it's Enya. It might be Anya.
No?
I think
No,
we
it's
found
alright.
out that... I think her actual name is very Gaelic, so all pronunciations are out because her name could be fucking Ketshi for all I know.
So, wrapping up, I guess? Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, so that's FF1, y'all. How you feel about it?
No,
I'm glad I played it.
I'm okay with it.
I'm glad I played it.
I miss Avalanche. I miss having characters to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I played Final Fantasy 1 on the PSP for the first time all the way through last year, year before. And I enjoyed it then, but I really enjoyed going back and playing the NES one, and I feel like I've accomplished something by beating the first NES Final Fantasy.
It's like learning guitar on a guitar with really shitty action on it.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Yeah, and I just feel like more appreciation for it. Yeah, absolutely. It's also fun to see where not all, but some of the Final Fantasy tropes started, and we kind of made the discovery that a lot of them kind of evolved from D&D tropes, right? I thought that was pretty
It was way more apparent here, yeah.
And you can see where it's going, knowing what we know now, 15 different mainline games being out, we can see back on FF1 and be like, oh, that's where they figured this thing out. That's where they figured this thing out. They did this, you know what I mean? So that's really cool to see. And I said it again, or I've said it multiple times, I'll say it again. The NES being what it is and what it was and what it was considered for major RPG developers at the time in the 80s, they went hard. They went really in on making a serious adult RPG on a system that a lot of RPG fans did not think was for legit RPG fans.
Yeah.
So they put the effort in. They got Yoshitaka Amano to do some real serious art, and I think it paid off. I mean, obviously it did. They're fucking filthy fucking rich now. So
and that's why our next game is Mario RPG. Well, we get to it.
I think it's also interesting to think of this just at the time where other RPGs at that time were kind of just the text-based adventures, right?
I mean, there were PC RPGs with visuals and things.
True.
And that was kind of
shout outs to Last Armageddon on the PC 98 and Sharp X 68000, which has the most metal intro series like cinematic of all time.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about, and that is
so fucking
metal.
Good. Everyone should watch that right now. Particularly, in my opinion, the Sharp X 68000 version kicks ass, but anyone is good. It's just fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, there were technically deep. I mean, there were both technically deep ones and technically deep RPGs on different computer. I was gonna say computer consoles, but on different computers. But the home console was not a thing that was respected by RPG developers at the time.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah. So they really did.
I feel like the consoles in general kind of weren't respected as much. I mean,
they're definitely kind of seen more of it as a toy, is what I understand.
Or
about them.
like a fad kind of thing.
Yeah,
or just like an arcade in the home.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times if you look at like arcade ports of, or I'm not sorry, arcade ports, but home console ports of arcade games, they don't even hold a candle to the actual arcade game.
Yeah, they're just like there for the sake of it. Just like, oh, well, we can maybe sell cartridges of this, so don't put any effort into it and just get it over there.
Yeah. So it's cool that it got localized here, because it wasn't localized till like three and a half years after Final Fantasy 1 came out in Japan.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're very fortunate to have gotten that.
Hell yeah.
And that it was able to we were able to finally start bringing some games over when 4 came out for the SNES under the name Final Fantasy 2.
Yep.
Which has not caused any confusion with fans over time.
Yep.
Although I tell you what, though, it's super fun the first time you find out that 2 is actually 4. You're like, there's more? I can play more?
Yeah, there's 2 and 3.
That's actually super fun to find out, because then you're like, more content. Oh my god.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, Final Fantasy 1, honestly, it was kind of a chore in some places, but I would say a fun game. Even today, I had a good time playing it. That may not be the last time I ever play it in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I might play it again, because I mean there's also replayability in it. It's not just like, oh well, I beat it once and I never have to touch again. You're like, huh, I liked the classes that I chose. I kind of want to try it with different What
setups. If I ran it with 4 monks?
Yeah, exactly.
What would happen?
Shout out to a certain somebody. Yeah, so a lot of fun though. So we're also. Is there anything else we want to say about it real quick? Or are we good?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
It's only uphill from here, or it's only downhill from here. I didn't know what.
I believe my, Newfound Glory said it's all downhill from here when they invented that phrase and that metaphor.
So before we talk about the next game we're gonna do, I think we should do some announcements real quick, and then we should make our big fanfare. The next game.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So we have a Discord. Thank you, Alex.
Sure.
Thank you, Alex.
Seemed like a fun idea.
Yeah, setting all that up.
We're going to be taking the next month off, so you can pretty immediately talk to us there.
Yeah, come yell at us and tell us to not take a month off.
Yeah.
To which we will say, we're sorry, we have to.
Yeah, I'm literally still building the episode list for the next season, so I still have work to do.
I still have to get a playable copy of the
game
we're doing for next season. Yeah.
But we do have a Discord. I guess we should start. We probably link the Discord in the Twitter.
Just check Twitter every once in a while. I'll be posting an invite link. Just check the Twitter. We'll post one every few days.
Yeah. I did generate one that was will not expire, but I forgot
just go
where
bug Curtis on Twitter.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Email Curtis at curtis.com.
I mean, you can email me if you want to, but I don't know why you would explicitly. But just tweet at me. But yeah, join our Discord server. It's a lot of fun. We're goofing around a lot on it.
You can listen to Robo Nobuo play the hits.
Yes.
24/7.
Alex set up a 24/7 radio station on it, where it's just Nobuo Uematsu all the time, except for Chrono Trigger. We have some fucking Yasunori Matsuda on there.
Well, I'll take that up with whoever said on YouTube that Nobuo did.
He does 2 or 3 of the tracks on it.
There are a few tracks, and that also used to confuse me all the time. But I actually found out recently. And by recently, I mean last night, Poexel on Twitch was running through one of the Final Fantasy Legend games, and people were just discussing that soundtrack, and apparently she had fallen ill. Or
I think Yasunori's a he, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Yasunori had fallen ill during the development of that soundtrack, and that's why Nobuo came in for a couple of songs, which I did not realize.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't realize gender, apparently.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's fine. I want to be corrected.
Poexel was also talking about Yoko Shimomura, I believe is her name.
Yes.
She wrote Super Mario RPG and some other games. So.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, we have a Discord now. That's a lot of fun. Come join us on that. The Final Fantasy relay race is coming up very soon, and I'm very excited for it. I'm on Team Mog. There's Team Mog, Team Chocobo, and Team Tonberry. And
you should get a nice jar of salted Cupo nuts to snack on.
Yeah. I will say Team Tonberry seems loaded. I was like, this ain't fair. But they took everybody's average performance and kind of put really good runners on with newer runners, I'll say, because I think I'm a newer runner.
Yeah.
But I do have Dave Stereo on my team.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
at very least, we're definitely the prettiest of all the teams. So even if we lose, we win. But that's going to be on twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break. That's starting June 5th, I believe. It's going to be going for 4 days. I am on June 6th at 4:30 a.m. as when I'll be starting, although it'll probably be more like 5. I'll be running Final Fantasy V with Masudo and Mr. Zwansig, who are both either first or second on the speed runs, and I am like a very hardy like 13th place.
Hell yeah! It's the best Final Fantasy. It's Final Fantasy 13th.
Yeah. So what I'm saying right now is not only am I guaranteed to win, I'm also guaranteed to world record. So come see that. It's gonna be a good time. But twitch.com/RPG Limit Break. Go follow them anyway. They have awesome stuff on there all the time. I'm always watching their. They host the free enterprise races sometimes for Final Fantasy IV. Love that stuff. Highly recommend. They have a lot of YouTube content as well. So give them a follow and some of your viewing time.
Hooray!
Hell yeah!
Hooray! Do you guys have anything else to announce?
Not really.
I
Okay.
don't.
Who wants to do it? Does anybody have a good joke? Anybody have a good gag?
No. I was actually just about to say that I don't think I can talk about it at this point, so I don't know when the next announcement will be coming out since we're taking the month off. But part of the reason why I wasn't able to get too deep into the dungeons this week was because I was working with a friend of mine on some research for a project that he was working on that I'm very excited to be a part of. I will say it's also video game related and specifically Dark Souls related. I don't think it's like too secretive at much. Like if you're following him on Twitter, you can probably like put the pieces together. But I'll announce that at some other point, or like announce it in the Discord and share it out on all of that.
Put it on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, that stuff.
Yeah, but I was able to help out with some Dark Souls research for a really cool project. So
hell yeah.
All
right. Does anybody specifically want to do it?
So are we doing number 1, Curtis?
No.
Are we doing number 2?
No.
Are we doing number 3?
No.
Are we doing IV?
No.
Are we doing VI? No, wait.
So wait, are we doing
V would
the
be next.
American release of 4, which is actually Final Fantasy 2?
No.
We're doing 6.
Nope.
Are we doing 7 again?
Nope.
Listener, right now you should just tell us which one you want us to do.
We're doing 8.
Nope.
How about
Yes,
9?
I wish.
No.
No. I guess that's all of them.
There's more than one Final Fantasy?
Ask me if we're doing the next one.
Are we doing 10/X?
Nope. Oh, wait, yes.
Hey!
Hey, we're going to do Final Fantasy X next.
Hell
so in July, look forward to beginning Final Fantasy X. It's going to be a real good time because it's long as shit. So we're all going to be old by the time that we finish that season. So we're going to enjoy our month off.
Yeah, we really should be taking 2 months off.
Yeah, I know. We're going to enjoy our month off because we're never going to have one off again.
Yeah, we may need like a mid-season break or something.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But we'll see.
We're going to do 10. It's going to be great because I have joked around with Carl and Alex a lot and said that it's my least favorite one. And the thing is that it's not really my least favorite Final Fantasy. I'm just going to talk so much shit about the characters the whole season. It's going to be fucking fantastic. The game itself, though, if you haven't played it, is actually technically one of the best ones. As I've been playing through it, I've just continually been like, man, this is playing really well. Like, from a technical standpoint, one of the best ones. A lot of minor things are incredible about it too. Like if you play one of the HD remasters, no load times. There's like things don't even like fade to black and fade back up like when you do the menus and stuff. They're just so fast, so crisp. The battle system is perfect. Can't wait for it. But Titus though, what a fucking piece of shit.
This is the first season I have a physical copy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Are we all going to be playing on Switch?
I am definitely going to be playing on Switch.
How about that?
Yeah.
I do have the PS2 version somewhere around here, and I think
so. Before we get to next season, Carl, have you played 10?
I have played through a good bit of 10. It was shortly after I had beaten Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 7 for the first time. I think after that I played through Kingdom Hearts and like just missed Final Fantasy. And then I ended up playing 10 for a little while. I can't remember where I got to it, but I kind of have this habit of putting down games, especially RPGs. I mean, like, oh, I'm going to get to that later.
They tend to be long.
Yeah, putting it down and being like, oh, okay, I got like school. Like I might have been in high school. I think I was in high school at the time. Like put it down, was like, oh, I'll get back to that later. And then like 2 weeks go by or something, and I'm like, oh, I want to play Final Fantasy X again, but I don't know where I left off. Like, where do I go? And it just like I psych myself out and never go back. So now I'm gonna be playing it again.
Do you remember what area you were in or anything?
I do not.
Okay, don't worry about it. Alex, what do you know about 10?
It came about. I think it was the first one that came out on the PS2, correct?
That's correct.
And I remember getting my cousin's copy of Game Informer around when it came out and being extremely blown away by the graphics, but then realizing that was just the cutscene. So all the promotional art for it was the cutscenes, which looked really nice.
Oh yeah, they still.
It made Titus seem much more romantic than he is in person.
Oh, boy, howdy!
Ain't that just the way?
I started it like a few years ago for the Vita. A while ago, but I didn't get very far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I know there's a ball game in it.
There's a lot of balls.
There's a lot of
in
balls.
That game. We're gonna be
like Katamari Rugby.
I heard there's an NFL Blitz in it.
yeah. Come out with a new Madden Blitz ball every year. So that's why they keep redoing Final Fantasy X, coming out with new versions. They got to put the new players in.
The new roster of
the new
ball.
rosters. Yeah.
You'd think that could just be DLC,
game.
but
yeah,
they can just patch it, but nope.
So that's going to be a good time. So everybody get FF10. We're going to play that together. We're going to talk about the mythical land of Spira.
Our listeners will likely probably be playing the X/X2 HD remaster, which came out on PS3, the Vita, PS4. So you can also get it on Windows. You can get it for Switch and also the Xbox One. So you can pretty much play it anywhere now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's very easy. Modern gamers.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Well,
that's it, I guess. Is there anything else we want to talk about? No, I guess not.
I'm trying to think.
No.
I know. I'm like, well, Alex can cut all this out while I think if there's anything else I want to say. But I don't think that there is.
I just found this sitting right next to me at my desk.
Hell yeah. Carl's holding up a copy of Final Fantasy 12.
For the PlayStation 2, which has a similar story of how much I've played to Final Fantasy X.
So 10 is the one that everybody absolutely loves, and I always go, ugh, those characters, Jesus. 12 is the one that everybody hates, and I'm like, that's the best one in the series. It's so good. But yeah, we're going to do 10. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to talk about characters again.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the problem I have with RPGs is just kind of the filling in the gaps for me with myself. But because I always lead towards very story heavy games in which I can kind of just enjoy the characters and see a script and a story kind of unfold in front of me.
Right. No, I 100% agree with you.
So I'm excited to kind of, rail on these characters.
No, I know. I'm so excited to rail on the characters.
Rail
so
on
much.
that Titus.
All right, listen. All right. This is what I'm gonna say before we get to the actual season. I'm gonna break them down. Are you ready? I'm gonna rank the Final Fantasy X characters top to bottom. This is correct, by the way. This is not subjective. Top, Lulu, best character.
Yes, Goth
no
GF.
context. Yeah, Goth GF, Lulu, best character. Okay, position 2 could be tied.
Can I take a stab at it?
Take it.
Riku?
Is who I'm going with, Riku.
Hell yeah.
Was going to tie her with the third one, who I was going to say, Waka. Why does Waka not hit number 2? Because he's a racist.
It's true.
So,
but on the flip side of that, he's also Bender.
He's also voiced by the voice of Bender.
But also Bender might be racist. Yeah. Bender's also a very problematic character.
Yeah. Who's the guy from Gears of War? The main Gear of War? He's also Bender?
I believe it's Jonathan Gear.
Jonathan Gear. Jesus. Okay,
so it's Richard. Richard
fourth character down.
Richard Gear, yeah.
So all the last characters on my list could honestly occupy the same space, but I think there's certain things that divide them apart. Yuna's next. Boom, Yuna. She gets that slot because the other ones are just worse.
Yuna is just discount Rinoa, and we all know it.
Yeah.
But we have Yuna at home.
5th, Kimari. Kimari's 5th. Takes way too long to get to any personality at all. And once you do, it's only some. Only some personality. Literally could be any character. And last is my boy Titus, because no personality would have been better for Titus.
Damn.
Than the one he has. So there you go. That's objectively character list. I'm looking forward to not debating everybody about that next season or on the Discord.
Glad we're all on the same page. Glad everyone agrees. I'm also very thankful that everyone agrees with how to pronounce Titus's name, which is Titus.
Titus.
Some people say it.
Well, they better not.
Do they pronounce it in the game?
No, they don't.
Is this a Link scenario?
So what they do, so it's like you can name Titus in the game, and they just refer to you by like nouns that are adjacent to who you are. What's that called? That's an epithet? Is that the right word?
Do they give you nicknames and shit too?
It's called a Gibson, and the lower version is epithet.
But yeah, they'll be like the blitzball player, that guy, that clown, just like
it's like in Fable. It's like in Fable when you just like get character cards for what everyone can call you. So you're just like, oh, I'm gonna be Arsehead the whole time.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. Got anything else to say?
It's gonna be good.
Did Nobuetsu do that music?
I believe so.
I think Nobuo did. Yeah.
Oh, he is the first one not to be entirely scored by him.
Oh yeah. It's all downhill from here.
12 is amazing, but I think Nobuo did a lot of that one too. But
hell yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, this music was done by Nobuo Uematsu, unless you're playing the Game Boy Advance version, and it was done by the other person who I forgot their name. I'm sorry. Wait, I have their name right in front of me.
Due diligence.
So music, yes, as I was saying, music this season was composed by Nobuo Uematsu, unless you're playing the Game Boy Advance, and I guess probably the PlayStation version as well. Anyway, the Dawn of Souls version, which was adapted by Ryo Takagi. She's cool. We are every FNFF on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Again, check us out there. We have posted Discord links and stuff like that. Leave us a voicemail or text us at 530-MATERIA. We got a whole month to fill our mailbox, please.
Hell yeah.
Leave us a review on iTunes. I'm sure it helps a bit to kind of get us up the ranks and help new people find us.
Oh, I'll announce one more thing as you're doing this. We made affiliate on Twitch, so sub to Twitch.
Sub to twitch.tv.
I think that's how that works. I don't know how Twitch works, man. I'm going to be honest with you.
You can subscribe to our Every FNFF channel. We're probably going to be doing more stuff with it, given that we're affiliate now.
I've been doing a lot of speedrunning.
Curtis has been doing a whole lot of speedrunning there, and we're going to have some emotes soon.
Also, you don't have to subscribe either. I mean,
absolutely not.
That's a money thing, and who's got that?
Unless you have a Twitch Prime account, in which case you can use that free sub on us or your favorite streamer. Doesn't have to be us.
That's right.
That's my elevator pitch for Twitch Prime.
All right, sorry, Alex.
I think that's it. We have a TeePublic still, which you can buy a Vinyl Fantasy shirt or a face mask now still.
Don't you want a plain white shirt with plain black text that says Vinyl Fantasy?
God damn it, I really do.
With the bees being the emoji.
I really fucking do.
God, I wish that were me.
It could be you.
But yeah, that'll be it. We'll see you in a month. July 3rd, I think, is the first Friday of next season.
Oh, hey, I'd also like to say congratulations to you two. We've been a podcast for a year now.
Holy shit.
Well, almost.
Almost, yeah, in like a week or two.
Maybe we'll do something for that. Maybe a congratulatory stream.
A masturbatory stream where we just self-congratulate.
Also, so Curtis, I know you're not too familiar with Twitch. That's definitely against the TOS, so that is a good way to get banned on Twitch.
The camera doesn't show whether I'm wearing pants or not.
Do not do that.
All right.
But yeah, I guess that'll do it.
I can't think of any like hilarious throw us in the volcano for this because we're done.
See you in Xanarkand.
See you in Xanarkand. I'm a Xanarkand, not a Xanarkant.